Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the January the 6th, 2025 work session meeting of the Castle County Board of Commissioners. If you would, join me in a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. No public comments. And before we get started, I know the weather's not the greatest in the world. So I'm gonna do my best to work us on through this meeting. Not in a hurry, but I don't want to have to drag it out if we don't have to. So everybody get back home, or the roads might happen to get bad. Okay, recognitions, Mr. Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the Cattle Animal Shelter for the time extended and management stuff last Thursday to tour the facility and look at their needs and talk about the budget requirements.
Mr. Rand. Commissioner Rose.
Yes, like to thank our maintenance for all they did, they included whether they salt off with them.
Mr. Ingram. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Motion by Commissioner Rand, second by Commissioner Rhodes. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We do have one action item tonight. Since the former clerk of the board has resigned her post, and they're all specific duties for the clerk. I have talked to Ms. Pascal, our interim manager, and I'd like to have her appointed as interim clerk for the board. Won't give her any more authority. There are certain items that only the clerk can handle, by understanding. Any questions concerning this matter? Anyone?
What's the rules on this? It's a mandatory.
Someone in county government from the register of deeds, somebody's got to be appointed to do that job. We have to have someone in that position. Yes, ma'am.
We will advertise.
Yes, sir. Yes, that we will get on that here tonight. That was small discussion. Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to say that I am going to struggle with taking minutes, and I don't think you want to pay me to produce the minutes. So I reached out to a colleague of mine in Chatham County, and she introduced me to Michelle Parker Evans, who is on our Zoom call tonight. She will be taking the minutes and producing those for the commissioners while we're without a clerk. So I do want to recognize her. She's very qualified. She was the Durham County clerk from 2009 to 2018 and retired, and has been doing interim work since.
Any other questions regarding appointing Renee as interim clerk? We have a motion that we appoint Renee Pascal as interim clerk of the board.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner Rose, a second from Commissioner Ingram. Any discussion? Not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Okay, we'll move down to discussion items. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the way we're going to try to do these work sessions, it'd be mainly discussion items. We can come to a consensus. We will vote on those items at the second meeting of the month. So I'll turn this over to Ms. Pascal.
Yes, and the reason we had an action item on this agenda is we have to have a clerk. So that was the reason for that. The first item is a proposed amendment to your rules of procedure. You had some discussion about this at a recent meeting. It's concerning Rule 27, which states consideration of unbudgeted expenditures. No votes on expenditures for off-budget spending in excess of $10,000 shall be held unless tabled from a prior meeting. And I believe the intent is to not have the board hit with items that are going to affect the general fund and require additional county resources. But it does pose a logistical issue for us, because in order to do that, we'd have to introduce the budget amendments at the first meeting and have them approved at the second. If we miss one of those deadlines, you know, we're a month or two late down the road getting a budget amendment approved. So I'd like to propose the addition of the language: the rule shall not apply in cases where a budget amendment increases revenue and expense by an equal amount and there is no other impact on the general fund.
This was yours, your baby went back in the day anyhow.
Yeah, when I came on the board in 1994, I introduced an amendment between this line item. Because at that time, we were constantly being broadsided by different department heads saying, we gotta have it by this week, you know, gotta vote today, because the money gives out on Friday. And we stopped that and found out, you know, these people knew about it weeks ahead of that. Just made them do that job real proactively instead of waiting till the last minute where they knew they had the board of commissioners at their head. But what you're talking about, Renee, is basically grant.
Yeah, for the most part, it's grants.
Well, this doesn't apply to that, because that's money in, money out. It doesn't affect the budget. Even though I'd like to think we have a say in grants also, that because if you live by the grant, you're gonna die by the grant. So we've had some things that costing us money, because we have to pick it up out of the grant, get it back. But I don't see where grants are part of this. You can explain how, but that's money, that's like that. That's money coming into the county and going back to the thing it was needed for.
Well, it's and I know what you're saying, David. If it's $5 coming in from something, we gotta show that as revenue, then we're gonna turn right around and spend that $5 on whatever it was designated
Right.
for by the grant. So are you asking, does that grant money, should it even be considered under that Rule 27?
I don't see it as that.
Okay.
Now, I don't see a problem with this, but if I find out there is a problem where, you know, but grants are, like I say, we can't budget grants because we don't know what grants we might get during a year's time.
Yeah, but we do have to approve those grants.
Yeah, we need to approve those grants, and, but as far as I'm concerned, that's not part of this rule. Now, if y'all want to add it to it, I won't object to loudly, but, I don't really think it's necessary for what the rule is intended to do. That's taking money out of the fund that was passed by the board, the revenue, that was passed by the board in the budget.
What's everybody else's thoughts? Or I should ask it like this, does anyone have a problem with it? No other? Okay. Consensus of the board is okay.
Let me have a little clarification. And this may be way out on this, but if we gotta approve a grant, but because we're putting in so much, but we're gonna be getting more, would that come into play? Like
Like a
$75,000,
matching, Like you had a $25,000 match on a $75,000 grant.
Yes. Would that
Then the
ever,
rule would apply. to that.
Yeah, it would, we would have to do that as far as tabling it at one meeting and bring it back out next week. But that'd be money coming out of the general fund, but it match. So that rule would apply then, as the way it's written there. I think I'm right, Renee? Okay. Any other questions? All right, looks like we all can go with that one then. Next,
Maybe not all of us will cover those.
well, a majority.
Well, if there are any changes that you would like for me to make, I'm happy to hear that and take that into account. The next item is adoption of a purchasing policy. I don't know if you got a chance to read through the existing policy. But there are some things that are missing from that, we're required to follow state and federal law in what we buy. It's one of the most regulated things that we do really as a county government. So we've written a new policy. I based this mostly on Chatham County's policy, and then added a few tweaks for us. The purchase order limit currently is $500. And Jonna did an analysis of spending, which is on the second page of your abstract, and hopefully you can read it. But what it shows is if we leave the spending limit at $500 without a purchase order, without having to get a purchase order, then we're gonna be doing a lot of transactions to get purchase orders when there's not a lot of money involved. It's like 234,000 out of 10.5 million that we spend. So our suggestion is to adopt the policy, which in itself is going to be a change for departments. And set the purchase order threshold at $2,500. I will mention that the policy references a position in the county that does not currently exist, the purchasing specialist position. The finance office does have a vacant position, and I have talked to our new finance officer to get his input on if we should repurpose that position, at least in part, to do purchasing. And this would be very helpful departments, help them do requests for bids, requests for proposals, make sure all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed. And he's in agreement that that vacant position should at least take on some of those duties. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have about it.
Yes, sir.
So we're saying that we can use P card up to $2,500 from 500. Is that basically what it boils down to? Will
Yes.
we lose control as to where the expenses are going by doing that?
A purchase order makes sure the money is there before it is spent.
Good.
So you can still use your P card up to $2,500. You can actually use your P card over $2,500, but you will have to do a blanket purchase order. So our solid waste director pays some of his bills using the P card. He can do a blanket purchase order at the beginning of the year, and then that money just is.
Does anybody monitor the purchase order that
Oh.
goes out? I mean, when it's
Yes.
issued, you know about it, somebody knows about.
The finance officer knows, and we make sure there's money in the budget in order to pay that bill. And that's the reason why you have purchase orders, is to
So
ensure you have.
what we're doing is trying to cut down on paper trail for the most part by doing that.
I wouldn't say adopting this policy is cutting down on the paper trail. It's probably the opposite. But this policy really bare bones is meeting state and federal requirements that we need to be following. So it is gonna probably increase some workload. But I was trying to balance that out with a realistic purchase order limit.
this is the only person looking at this? What? Since you brought up the landfill. If he goes and buys something, the only person looking at it is the finance department. So how do they know it's legitimate, something that he needs?
They would, if it were a question, then they would come to me.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
And this is maybe a little bit irrelevant to this, because I think you need this, I'll go along with it, but at a certain time near the end of the fiscal year, do you cut off POs?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure that was still done.
Is it 75%? 3/4 of the year, I mean,
No, we usually cut off spending. I'm accustomed to cutting it off May 1st or May 15th.
That's good. Keeps them cleaning out
Right.
budget line.
And it reduces the amount of work you gotta close the year as well.
any other questions?
Basically, Mr. Chairman, it's based on what's on adopting this policy, it's basically gonna give us better record accountability.
Yes.
Have you just discussed any of this with the new finance director?
He's actually reviewed it, and he made a suggestion for a change, which I took. I've also had, department heads, that do a lot of, have a lot of procurement, to take a look at it and took their feedback into it. I will say that you see two documents. One is the purchasing policy, which we'll be asking the board to approve at the next meeting. The other is the purchasing procedures, and that's an administrative document. I'm not asking for board approval, because we may need to make tweaks, in that document as circumstances change, but we still have to comply with the overall policy.
Currently, you have a number of blanket purchase orders issued. Is that going to affect the blanket purchase order policy?
No.
Any more questions, comments? Everybody feel comfortable? Or is anybody that does not like it?
Question,
Yes, sir.
is it necessary we got 500, 2,500? Is there some increment less than 2,500 that we could
Well,
visit?
that's what I was pointing out earlier. Jonna had done the analysis of spending that showed our transactions would increase substantially if we did not increase the threshold. And it's for a very small amount of money, $234,000 out of $10.5 million. So that's why we recommended the 2,500. But yes, you can absolutely set that threshold at whatever level the board is comfortable with.
Well, here again, I'm looking at control and I guess I'm just a control freak, but looking at up seven digit to 1,000, from 500 to 1,000, you still have a number of transactions that would be handled with P-card. As the number gets higher than the transactions decrease, 1,500. Just for the,
Are you recommending? Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
are you recommending $1,000?
that would be my recommendation as step one.
Move from 500 to 1,000.
Yes, sir. That would.
Voting on this policy.
Yeah, we won't vote on it tonight. We do need to come to a consensus on a number. So they can have it forward to the next meeting.
Yeah, I had kind of envisioned that the work session is where you hash things out and discuss them, and really when we get to the meeting, there's clear direction.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if they were thinking about $1,000, Madam Manager, is there any way that we could actually look to see what the analysis would say on $1,000? Because I'm looking right now and it's showing the 500 to 2,500 and it's showing 1,251.
Right.
And that would be something that,
Yes, I'll have to do some quick math.
You got, excuse me, Sam. You got one tier that goes from 500 to 1,250.
Right, but no, this one right here is showing.
So that would combine, right, two of them that we have now, right?
Well, this one is going from 500 to 2,500, and like I say, the analysis is showing 1,251 purchases. That's what they were showing out of the 10.5 million.
It would be an additional,
Probably be more.
yeah, it would be an additional 500 and change transactions.
If you go from 2,900 to 1,000, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah. That's with the 500 being adopted in 2008. It's not, I guess, a lot. We getting 500 and more.
Yeah, I do think 500 is too low.
Okay, thank you.
We need to make a decision, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna team up with my fellow commissioner and maybe hold it to 1,000 myself. I'll let, you know, everybody else needs to chime in. And I know we gotta change it,
Yeah,
but I'm a little slow about changing things too quickly, or too much.
no, you got a number in mind?
I'd go on 1,000.
All right. Thank you.
What was that difference again? I'm sorry. That's different.
It was 500 and change. It would increase the transactions.
I go way due to the fact that it's been 500 since long as I. Trying to increase it, still a little time, see how it goes, and if they do that, come back later and increase it, to see that, we need to.
I believe 1,000 is gonna be the number.
All right. Next item is a contract management policy, and this is just to kind of shore up the process that we have for both getting contracts approved, developed, approved, and stored so that we can retrieve them after the fact. And this is very similar to the policy that we adopted in Chatham County and made some tweaks for Caswell. It does, I want to mention, it does mention electronic signatures are acceptable. And the goal would be to try to make the document, the contract signing process more automated and online, and the storage of the documents online as well. So it's easy to find. It also requires that the county manager and county attorney review the policy annually to just make sure that it's still viable.
Questions?
I think that's an excellent point, because doing all 10 years, can't imagine the qualified contracts. Continue. Very hard.
Well, everybody good with it? Folks, for student fees.
All right, so the next item concerns you setting a lower fee for Piedmont Community College students. We're trying to revitalize Co-Square. We want to have a grand reopening. We've never had a grand opening of Co-Square because COVID hit just as soon as the facility was available. And then we had the accident last year that closed it. That closed it for several months. So this is one way to bring in potential entrepreneurs and business people in the county if we're bringing in PCC students. And so I talked to Dr. Senegal at the college, and she's very supportive. And so the board would need to vote to set the membership fee of $25 a month and then approve the MOU that is in your agenda packet with the college, just so that there's understanding. We're going to lower our fee, but we also want the college to promote it to their students.
Yes, sir.
How many paying customers do you have now?
I think around 20.
And with all the money being spent on internet coming to home, you think that's all the numbers gonna hold up?
Well, we are undertaking some efforts to try to increase membership. There are a lot of co-working spaces that are located in more urban areas where broadband is not a concern or an issue. But because people are able to come together and have that synergy and working together, it is an attractive environment for some folks. And so we are doing a survey of our past members, the ones who have left, to see why they left and what would bring them back. And we hope to have more data about that at a future work session.
Next question. How much does Postware cost the county?
Don't know that off the top of my head.
I mean, me personally, I don't see a lot of activity there. Maybe something we need to invest that set from. I know I read that back one day. That we didn't agree with it, but it's been a good one on that. Never have thought it would pay for itself, but it's gotta be some, utility expenses and insurance and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That we're not coming close to recouping. I read some old minutes where it was talked about being, and kind of back at that time, so yeah, it'll pay for itself and we'll recoup our money back in 5 years. I don't think we've done that. I think that was misleading. It was, this thing started because it's gonna be some of the end of the business down here. 350 jobs and high-paying jobs, and then that, well, it came, they only had 2 people here in the county. They rented an office space and now expect their job. So I'm not very well doing anything with so that's my personal opinion. But as a conservative that I am, some say an ultra conservative, I was gonna sit still.
But,
Yes, sir.
member search, right, I think the county's guidance, maybe numbers, well, 300,000 invested in that deal. Rest of the money's, needed to construct, to build up the building, came from, grants and so forth, from that regional foundation gave some. I suspect they're gonna have some expectations of us to provide reporting to them for a number of years as to how we're doing with the money that they gave us.
Do we know that they're asking for reports on that data?
Actually, they came in to tour the facility 2 or 3 months ago while I was in the office. And they said, where are the people? We had explained the fire and they'll be back. So they'll be looking. But my point is, the county really doesn't have that much cost in that. They've got more operating expenses than they do fixed cost.
But Mr. Chairman, that fixed cost is a cost to the taxpayers. That I just don't see where we're recouping that investment. And you're right, I mean, it's 330,000 for the building, because Yanceville kicked in 30. And it's a total project that ended up being, including land and building, was a 1.5 million. 1.2 million was grant money. And that's why I say you live by the grant, you die by the grant. If we have to keep it open because of a grant, that's not good business.
Like, I'd like to see the numbers too, for what we have coming in.
Yeah, I like to
Where our expenses are.
cost, revenue and expenses. And I know the last 12 months will kind of be skewed a little bit. Written balance. But getting back to the computer thing. Dig into that a little deeper, and people a little more, you got a little more information. It's exactly what they will be doing.
So they'll be They'll have the same membership that a regular member of CoSquare has, and they pay $50 for it, which is to use the common space, to use the conference rooms, to use internet, and that kind of thing. So I think, it's a really good idea. Kayla Collins, who works, part-time in CoSquare, had the idea. And it's just a good match to me because you have PCC students who may need a place to, land during the day or after hours, and they may not have access to broadband. And so this gives them, a place for that. So we didn't want to charge them the full freight since it's a partnership with the college.
I feel like, either way, what we decide to do, that's a good thing, I mean, they give them a place to do the homework or whatever the project, or they need to do, like you say, a group of them, because they're doing a project together.
But in the room at college to do this,
I don't know.
I know they got relatively new computer room, and they got conference rooms down there, so.
So we're looking at the commentary to find out, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they wouldn't have access to things.
Would the student be paying the fees of the college?
The student would be paying.
I think it's a good idea.
Do what?
There's revenue generated on the,
It's
I
exposure.
have a question.
Yes, sir.
Could that be something that would be also used for like another local community college like DCC, where we have students that may live in Castle County and go there with that $25? Could they go towards that membership as well?
The way this is envisioned, it would be only PCC. Those students though could pay the $50 membership fee and still attend.
But they would only have access to the common area,
Correct.
not the small offices.
Well, now, Tim, I kind of agree with Commissioner Ingram.
Mhm.
If they're Castle County citizens and college age citizens and going to a college, why not? I don't see doing it just for PCC. I mean, if they're Castle County citizens and they want to go there to do a project or homework or work on something, then I can't really discriminate against, if you just go to PCC or you go to Danville, or, because people in my part of town, they go to Danville, no. Is that what you're thinking, Mr. Ingram?
Yeah, but I like the idea. Don't get me wrong, I like that idea. For the purpose of, generate extra fund. And include everything. But I'm good with PCC. I am. That's great.
I think that they're resident of the county, if they go to Rockingham, PCC, DCC. I think if they reside here in the county, they should be.
Everybody feel like that, everybody? Majority feel that way. If they're a county resident attending a community college, they should get treated at the $25.
A college. I would say
A college. Yeah, but I reckon if people go with that too. I don't know that you would have many 2 or 4 year college, but you might. It'd be, make it accessible to them. So as far as the fee goes, is everybody comfortable with that as far as being a policy? CoSquare, I'm not talking about CoSquare itself, just this fee structure. $25 for college students. Okay. The thing about CoSquare itself, like it's been already said, you'll get us this number of expense and revenue. We'll tackle that one later on. Again, We need to. Okay, the boards and committee discussion.
So you have in your agenda packet, Carla did this before she left. And made assignments just based on what, if commissioners who were commissioners before December, had, what committees they had, and then, so I guess I'm just rambling all over the place. So you can do whatever you wish in terms of which committees you would like to be a liaison to. And so the purpose of this tonight is to have that discussion about who wants what committee.
We did it, well,
I want to know first, who is commissioner at law at number one, who's the commissioner at law at number two? Number two got a whole lot bigger.
y'all flip a coin, Zoo, who gets that position?
Yeah, I think this is the starting point.
I tell you what, we'll just start the way it's on the paper here. Mr. Rose, is there anything that you are on that you don't want to serve on, or something that you're not on that you do want to go?
If somebody has a conflict with something else and switch and I'm able to do it,
Mr. Holt, what you?
No, I'm good. 100%. Cybersecurity committee, I was. Clue about that. It's inside.
The information I have on it is very limited. I think it was formed back when we had an absence of an IT director. It was just kind of put together to kind of oversee the cybersecurity of the county, but this was prior to hiring an IT director for the county, so I don't think it's ever.
Be on.
I don't think it's ever been.
I think, yeah, I'll keep it.
Do we need? Is a question. You don't get paid.
Yeah, but it makes me filled up.
So you're good then? Okay, Mr. Ingram? See anything you don't want to be on, or something you do want to be on, that you're not?
It's really short, I think.
Walk before you crawl. I think at this time. Anyway, I just need to learn a lot of.
Well, you can attend any of these meetings. It's open to the public, and if it's something you're interested in, you go. And you say, God, I'm kind of like serving on that thing, I don't think it'd be any trouble getting you on.
Thank you, and I'll stay where I'm at.
Mr. Wynn's not with us, we'll go by that one. I'm good on what I have. The two at largest. Gentlemen,
You guys, I'll take what's out there. Talk to Mr. Holt about, economic development. I will attend that. He will still represent the commissions, so I will attend the meetings. But, seems to me like everybody else is happy, and Mr. Wynn, I can split what's out there.
As far as I'm concerned, why do we need the cemetery board of trustees?
it was brought up about 18 months ago to do away with it. It never happened.
I'll make a motion at that next meeting.
There was a reason.
Yeah, I think John Dickerson gave us his reason on this. He was the one that was serving on it. I think he must have been, that was his slot. Well, I can't remember what it was.
I don't
A former commissioner came up with something. And it was basically said, if you're on this committee, you go on other people's land and look at cemeteries, some of that's not in churchyards or whatnot. And it was raised back then, you'd be trusted on somebody's land, that commission, but evidently maybe the state allows that. But I don't.
Right.
And I think we ought to do away with that commission.
I believe it's 3 people on this.
Well, then, commissioners. And I don't think those 3 people But I don't think he's paying for the committee.
Was it next to us?
Yeah, and he was one of
We can all see what the reason was.
them. I remember talking about it.
Yeah, I remember it was, I remember the tires, the tires back about 2018. Former commissioner of Bourbon Park.
Okay,
And so I didn't agree with it back then, I agree with it today. That's what I'm agree, over agree. So,
Mr. Terry. Yes, sir. If I may, I can research the state statutes. That's your good.
I do know that Commissioner Gwen is interested in being a board appointee to the board of DSS.
he's on that thing.
Her term has run out and she's not a commissioner representative. She was appointed by the state, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, so, and she wants to serve as the board representative on Department of Social Services. I don't think anyone has an objection to that. So Mr. Rand and Mr. Smith, if y'all will get with the county manager and divide those up, if y'all want to do it lower seats.
Only one I'm not really crazy about was the board of health. I've been there, done that. Not much you can do anymore since it's sold. Health agency. That was accused goes big with.
Y'all talk her name, that's good.
Okay.
Get the other support, yes, sir.
Question, how do we get the phone numbers and contact people for all this?
There's a directory. I can send you a copy.
Okay, that was all of the discussion item we had listed.
Let's say I got a couple of things I'd like.
Yes, sir.
Bring up for discussion, is that there's three or next meeting. Like, first off, on the list was Coast Plan, and but well, many counties in North Carolina, they have combined the health board and social services board to a human services board. And maybe we ought to start looking at, that would make for better efficiency of the two boards, like. Just have to start off with a new board proposed that covers both departments. I brought up already about eliminating the cemetery committee. And the other two I'll talk about later.
Okay, it was combining DSS and the health department.
Yeah, that's been done on the state.
Special comments,
Yes.
updates, rather.
Updates, a few things. First, here is a proposed agenda for the retreat. The chair and the vice chair met with Amy Cannon and Jonna Sharp, who are going to facilitate the retreat for us, and went through the things that we would like to discuss at the retreat. So the first is sort of expectations. Covered some of this in the orientation, but talking about board member expectations of each other and of staff. The next item is to give you an overview on Caswell County demographics. The association has put together these presentations for other counties, and it's a very good data source. Gives you a lot of information. The next part will be envisioning the future. And if you look at the stapled second page, Jonna and Amy would like for you to either fill this out and submit it to me, or they will be happy to arrange a phone call where they will call and talk to you about these items. But this is a way to kind of see, how much agreement there is on issues that we need to be working on as a county and that kind of thing. So let me know if I can send this out in Word and you can just type it if you want to. But if you would like to set up an appointment with them, let me know and I'll, have that done. Once they've compiled that information and presented it back to you, then you'll have a priority setting session. So identify the top 5 priorities for the coming year, which gives the manager and staff a lot of direction about what you want us to focus on. The next piece after lunch is really diving into the budget. And so talking about the process, we'll give you some more financial data on the county. We'll talk about a capital replacement plan and possible fees that we're going to take a look at in the upcoming budget at changing. After that, then the last item on the agenda is talking about the realignment of the positions of manager, clerk, and economic developer. Any questions?
Talk about. We need to kind of get an idea, we need to stick with it. But for economic, what different, we don't have something different to do. We need to look at how much it's gonna cost. How much land we got to put on a state building and put it need. But we need to start talking about that too. Starting with this retreat or person.
I think the retreat was number.
The second page questionnaire. I understand what I said, like that back, 15.
Yes, by January 15th, and I should have said that. Thank you. I do have a few more things I just wanted to mention. We have received notice from our health insurance carrier to expect a 6% increase. So we're looking at other options. We will probably have a work session focused on health insurance coming up. Jason Wellington has done a great deal of work with the flood map appeal process. And I just want to make sure the public knows about the appeal process. So they came and presented maps in 2022, and now they're getting ready to finalize those maps. There haven't been a lot of changes in the county, so there shouldn't be a great impact on our residents, but we want to make sure that they know that appeal process is underway. And if they have any questions, want to see the maps, want to sit down and talk with Jason, he's certainly willing to do that. The Riverside grant, so Jonna was able to post the match based on the project ordinance that the board had adopted in 22. She was able to post the match to 23. So there is no budget impact if we decide to move forward with their grant. We have talked to them. They've met their investment target. They have not met their employee target, but they expect to consolidate personnel and meet that personnel target in, I think it's February. So they are on track. We do have a new DSS director. I think I told you some time ago, Ms. Moorfield is retiring after 46 years, I think, of service with the county, which is extraordinary. And Michelle Waddell, who is currently the adult services supervisor, has been hired by the board, the DSS board, to be the director. That's all that I have.
Attorney updates.
Mr. Chairman, I have multiple updates during the closed session of the meeting.
Mr. Comments, okay.
No, I was actually able to attend the Saturday night. great success. I just want to continue to thank him for that.
Green? Smith? Oh. Don't have anything either. Upcoming event, county offices will be closed on the 20th. MLK Day, we will meet on the 21st at 6:30. We'll meet here at the library at South Quarters.
Right.
Okay, meet here. at the
January and February.
library. Right. The 25th of the month, board retreat here at the library starting at 8 a.m. Here, right here, yes. Closed session, and before we go into closed session, one comment. And I know that everyone on this board and staff is already aware of this, but everything that is discussed in closed session is discussed in closed session for a reason. And when it comes the time to make it public, boards will decide to make it public. That's all I'll say about that. Closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A3. Do I have a motion to go into closed sessions? Second. Second. Motion by Commissioner Rose, second Commissioner Smith. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like the sign, we now sit in closed sessions.